My name is Patrick, but you can call me 26. And what you're going to build today is this, right? So this allows you, this is going to be a multi-date picker, right? Which is going to show you the range of dates, right? So for example, we could come here and we start from 12th. Let's pick from 21 to 22nd, from 11th to 29th, right? So when you start off, it's going to default to the current date, right? So we're going to record it as nil, but to show on the front, we're going to default it to the first date, right? The current date, which in our case today is June 4th, right? So after we do that, you are allowed to pick the various dates. So you could select this and this, or you could come and say something like that, and that is going to be 11th to 3rd. And you could also pick from maybe 11th to 25th. You could even go as far as many dates as you want, because we put this date in a scroll view, right? We put this date in a scroll view, and then allow you to set the calendar however far, and also disable some dates. If you don't want some dates, you can disable them. You can even disable setting dates before, right? So let's come and okay, currently we have disabled some dates, right? So you can set the date before the current date, which is in red, right? So you could also set the current date if you want and whatnot, right? So this is what you're going to build, and then afterwards you're going to set it as a package, a Swift package, so that you can drop it into whatever applications you want, right? So let's get to work. Let's get to it. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to create our extensions, and what we're going to do is we're going to put in place all the colors that are going to show our app, right? So what that looks like is we come here and we say command N, and this is just going to be a Swift file, and it's going to be filled, and what it's going to be filled with are going to be our extensions, right? So we come here and we say extensions, like so, right? Hit create, and you have our extensions, right? And what you're going to do is we're going to put all the colors in one place. So what you're going to do here is just come and say class, and this one is going to be called, okay, not sec, but color settings, right? Now for the color settings, there are going to be a bunch of them. We're going to have our text color, like so, and this is just going to be color.primary. And then we're going to have our today color, and this one is going to be color.red, right? And we can hit command D, and this is going to be, okay, it's going to complain. It's going to complain, but that is fine. And this should be assignment, right? We are assigning, not telling it the type, right? So we are assigning, so that's that. So okay, it's going to stop complaining because of that. And here we have redeclared it, and this should be selected color. So we come here and we say selected color, like so, and this is going to be color.white, like so, right? Then we hit command D, and this is going to be between start and end. Come here and we say between start and end color, that's going to be white. And then we come here and hit this is going to be disabled color, and this is just the dates that are disabled, right? You can set the dates to be disabled should you so choose, and this is going to be color.gray, like so. And you're going to hit command D, because the next one is going to be today back color, today back color, like so. This is going to be color.gray, and hit command D, this is going to be today text back color, then we have text back color, and this is going to be color.clear, like so. Come here, say clear, then we come back. The next one is going to be command D, the next one is going to be disabled back color. Come here, say disabled back color, and disabled back color is also going to be clear, like so. And hit command D, and here we're going to have selected back color. Come here, say selected back color, and this is going to be color dot, and the color is going to be blue in this case. Then after that, you're going to hit command D, and after selected back color, we're going to have between. We're going to have the between start and end back color, between start and end back color, and this is just going to be color, and we're going to get the, let's see, what color do we want? We want to init, so we want one of the grays. So we say something like system, okay, spell it correctly, system gray, and I'm going to go with gray 5, right? Or something of the sort. Or let's make it system gray 3, right? Come here, do this. Then the next one is going to be calendar back color. Come here and we say calendar back color, and this one is going to be system gray, we say something like 6, I'd say. Then after that, we're going to have the weekday header. So come here, say this, and this is going to be weekday header color. Come here, say weekday header color, like so. And this is just going to be color.secondary, and then come here and say this is going to be weekday. After weekday header color, this is going to be month header color, like so. This is going to be month header color, and this is going to be color.primary, like so, color.primary. Then we come here and we say this is going to be weekday header back color, and this is going to be color.clear, like so, color.clear, like so. And then we are going to have the month back color, right? Month back color, and this is going to be color.clear. So that's going to be our colors, and we have all our ducks in a row. Then after that, we're going to have the font. So we say class, and this is going to be font settings. And the font settings, we're going to have first, it's going to be var month header font, and this is going to be of type font. So you could come here and say it's going to be .body .bold, right? So we have that, and after that we hit Command D. The next one is going to be weekday header font, weekday. Come here, say weekday header font, and this is going to be .caption, like so, .caption, like so. Come here, hit Command D. This is going to be cell unselected font. Come here, say this is going to be cell unselected font, and this is going to be .body, like so, .body. And then we come here and we say cell disabled font, cell disabled font. This is going to be .body .weight, not width but weight, and this is going to be .light, like so. Hit Command D. This is going to be cell selected font, and this is going to be .body .bold, like so. And after that, this is going to be cell today font, right? Today font, and this is going to be also .body .bold. And the final one is going to be cell between start and end font, right? Cell and end font, right? And this font is going to be .body .bold. So those are all our color settings and our font settings that we need. Let's continue. Now the next thing we need to do are going to be the various helper methods that are going to help us do stuff, right? This is going to be something like get the weekday headers, that is we adjust the weekdays so that they can be shown. Let me just show you, right? So let's see, this is what it looks like, right? So we would want to first get the dates formatted, because when you get the actual date, you're going to get it in a certain format. And what we want to, in this case, for example, is just get the number, right? In this case, we're going to get the month. So we have a method to get the month. Then we have a method to get all these dates that we show here for the week. And then we want because some months will start on a particular day and others will start on another day, we need to get the weekday headers. Then we will need to get the month day from the date. So you're given a date, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to break it down into its components, right? The way the date is normally structured. Get the components and return the date, right? Then we need to get maybe the first day of the month, right? Then after that, we would need to get the number of months, and the number of months. In this case, we are showing 2, or is it we're showing a number of months, right? And what you want to do is you could set a maximum number of days because you're supposed to select two dates, right? So we want the option of limiting how far or how many days a user can in particular can see. Like in this case, you're showing 1 year until the day today. Today is June 3rd, right? So you're showing the user 1 year until this day. You can't pick any day before today in our case here, and you can't pick a day before that. So those are some of the helpers that you're going to create. So let's do that. So we come here and we say class, this is going to be called helpers, and what helpers is going to do is exactly what I explained in a bit, right? So we're going to say static func, and this one is going to be called get weekday headers, like so. And this one is going to take a calendar, and the calendar is going to be the calendar, right? And it's going to return an array of strings, right? And this is just going to be string, like so. And this is going to be let week days, and this one can be gotten from the calendar dot short standalone standalone weekday symbols, right? Standalone, and remember this depends on the actual user's standalone weekday symbols, right? Weekday symbols, right? And as you can see, we get man, tu, wed, ter, fr. We don't get the whole name, right? So that's what we're doing basically, right? And then we come here and we say let first weekday index, and this is just going to be gotten from the calendar dot first weekday -1, right? That's going to be the index, right? Then we say, remember dates don't start with a not zero based index, right? Let adjusted weekdays, like so, and this is just going to be an array, like so, for the array. And here we're going to have the weekdays, and after the weekdays we're going to come here and we say first weekday index, like so. Come here, put 3 dots like that, and then to it we add what are we going to add? We're going to add weekdays, like so, and this is going to be dot, like so. Come here, say first weekday index, right? And at the end of all this, we're just going to return adjusted weekdays, right? So we say return adjusted weekdays. That's going to be that. The next thing we need to do is maybe to format the date, right? So we come here and we say static, like so, format date, and here we're just going to take a date. And what you're going to do after you're passed in the date, what you want to do is just return a string of the number, right? So for example, today is 3rd, return 3, right? 3rd of June, just return 3, right? So what we need to do is just return, and we're going to use the date formatted, right? I think it was released with iOS 15, if I'm not wrong, right? We're just going to say, we're not going to use the date formatter, right? So we're just going to say here formatted, and formatted is going to be, we want dot date time, like so, and dot day, right? So basically that's going to give us the particular day. And then we're missing the func, right? So let's let it help us rather than typing it out. Okay, the next one is going to be static func. This one is going to be string from date. So we say string from date, and this one is just going to take a date, and the date is going to be of type date, like so, and it's going to spit out a string, like so, and the string is going to be return. What do you want to return? We want to say date dot formatted, right? So that's going to give us like the entire string, the entire date as a string. So we take the date, put it as a string, right? And then we say the next one is going to be static func, and this one is going to be get month day from date, right? And what it's going to take is going to be it's going to take a date, and from the date we're just going to get the date, like so, and we're going to return an integer, like so, right? Get this, and what we want to do is we would say we get the calendar, so we say let calendar, and calendar is just going to be calendar.current, like so. Then we say let components, and components can be gotten from calendar.date components, like so, and this is going to be dot month, and this is going to be gotten from date, like so, right? What we want to do is just not result but return. And what do we want to return? We want to return components dot month, like so, and this is going to be -1, right? So that is more or less okay. Swift is finicky about equal space, so do that. And those are the, I think, the first 4 methods. Now the next thing we need to do is going to be another function, and this one is just going to be to get the month header. So I say get month header, and this one is just going to take in a date, like so, and it's going to spit out a string. So what this is going to do is we're going to get the name of the month, like for example January, right? So that's what we're going to get, right? So let's say the date style in question is going to be January, then the year, like for example February 2025, March 2025, right? That's what we're doing here, right? So we say let date style, and this one can be gotten from date dot format style, right? Format style, like so. And here we're just going to say we could come here and we say dot year, and there is going to be dot default digits, and then after that we say dot month, and this is going to be the complete name. So we say wide, right? We don't abbreviate the name, right? And after that so we need to return something, so we just return, what do we return? We return date dot formatted, like so, and we say date style, right? Date style, like so, right? Come here, say static func, and this one is going to be number of months, like so, number of months, and here what it needs is going to be the minimum date, right? The min date, and the min date is just going to be the date. So it's basically going to calculate the dates between the minimum date that you've given it and the maximum date, right? So that and the max date, which is going to be, those are the 2 dates that they're going to look at, right? Like for example, our case, if you think about it, we are getting from today to 1 year from today, right? So that's going to be, the max date is going to be the date, like so, and this is just going to return an integer, right? So that's going to be the number of months, and then we could come here and we say let components are going to be calendar, like so, dot current dot date, and to it we want to we want the from and to date by adding value date, and okay, not this one to be exact, right? Let's just come in and say date, like so, and then we want to get the month dot month, right? But date component rather, that's the one that I'm looking for, right? Date component, right? And the component in question is going to be dot month, like so, from the minimum date, like so, to the maximum date, right? And remember, it's not 0 based, so what do we do about that, right? Components dot month plus 1, right? Remember, we need to add an extra month, right? So do this, do that, right? So we get that, that's going to be that. The next thing we need is to get the last day of the month. So come here, say static func. This one is going to be called last day of month. Now what's the last day of the month, right? This one is going to take a date, and the date is going to be of type date, and we're going to get the calendar, and the calendar is going to be calendar, and we're just going to default to the current, right? The user's current calendar, right? And what we're going to do is just come here and we say we're going to get back the date, right? So get the last day of the month, and we get the components. So we could say var components, and this is just going to be gotten from the calendar dot date components, like so. And here we could have the we get the year, then we get the month, like so, and we get this from the date, right? We get that, we extract the year and the month, And then after that, we come here and we say components. Come here and we say components dot set value, and this is going to be 1 for the day, like so. And we start with the first of the month, right? Then after that, we get the start of the month. We say guard let start of, okay, I hit my caps lock, start of month. And after we get the start of the month, this is just going to be gotten from the calendar, like so, and date from the components, right? Else, if we don't get that, else return and the message is going to be invalid date component, like so, right? Then what we do, why is this complaining for fatal error? No, we're not returning this, just get the fatal error, right? We get rid of that. Then here is where we come and return something, right? And what do we return? We return calendar dot date by adding the value of 1 to, like so, right? So we get the calendar dot date by adding the month, like so. We add a value of 1 to start of month, and to it we could add after we get it, we adding a time interval, and to it we're going to subtract, so we're going to add a negative 1 so that you can get that. So we say dot 86,400, right? So what we do is we go to the month, the first day of the month, add to it 1 month, that's going to be the next day of the next month, then subtract a day from it, right? And if you can't get that, get the start of the month, right? So I think that's basically calculate the next month and subtract 1 day. That's basically what we've done, right? And that's going to be that, right? Now the next thing we could do is we could add some. Notice that if we select this, right, it curves like this, right? And when you select the last day, it also curves, right? So we're going to do the extensions that are going to curve or create these corner radiuses between the first and the last day. So that's basically what we want to do. So what we would do is we would come here and we say, let's create a shape, which is going to be a rounded corner, right? So we come here and we say struct, this is going to be called rounded, okay, spell it correctly, rounded corner, or if you spell it incorrectly, make sure it's like that. This is going to conform to the shape protocol. It's going to complain a bit. Let's wait for it to complain. Doesn't conform. Okay, let's hit this, get the fix, and then when we get the fix, what we want is to get the radius. So we say var radius, and what's radius going to be? This is going to be of CG float, like so, and this is going to be dot infinity, right? So that it's completely rounded on one side, as you can see, right? That, right? And then after that, we come here and we say var corners. And what's corners? Corners is just going to be UI rect corner, like so, and this is going to be, we want it for all corners, right? And we get that, and then after that it's going to be the path, and let's do that. We say let path, and path is going to be UI Bezier path, and this is going to be rounded rect, and this is going to be rect, like so. Corner radius, let's say not this one, but by rounding, let's come here and say by rounding corners, right? And by rounding corners, this is just going to be the corners, like so, and we add the corner radii, right? That's going to be CG size, and we could say the width is going to be the radius, which is infinity, and the height is also going to be the radius, like so, right? And it requires us to return a path. So what we need to do is just come here and we return the actual path, right? This is going to be path, and the path, okay, path, let's just come here and say path dot core graphic path, right? So that's going to be the path that we draw for our shape, right? Now we have the ability to make our corners rounded. Let's proceed from there. Proceed. Right now, what we want to do next is going to be, let's put a couple of constants, and I'm just going to put the constants in the, we're going to put the constants in our extensions, right? So what you're going to have here is going to be let days per week, which you will not be shocked to find out is 7. I think all cultures have 7 days a week for some reason. And we say cell width, I don't know whether that is based on any like physical fact or constant, or it tracks something physically, because I know like the months are try to approximate the moon cycles, and the years try and approximate the earth going around the sun. I don't know about what week approximates. Okay, I just know that it has something to do with German gods, the names in English, that is. So that's where we get things like Tuesday. Anyway, maybe not German, but Norse gods. Anyway, back to the agenda at hand. And here what we're going to have is going to be, we create a new cell, and this is going to be a SwiftUI view, and this is going to be called the day cell, right? So this is going to be called the day cell. Hit enter, come here, and we are going to get this. And what it's going to do is, what you're going to do here is we're going to have a bunch of we're going to have the calendar date. We're going to pass in the calendar date. So we need to interact with each and every cell. Each cell needs to be unique, right? Or independent. We can't just have an array of cells, because there's one cell that you might, like, for example, decide to disable, like to make sure that it's not part of the group, right? So we would need to mark those cells by a red color. And also today, we might want to mark today with the color red, right? So in this case, we have a sort of reddish color to indicate that this is the day that we're actually at. And the days that have passed but are within the month, in the days that are selected, right, we put them like this, right, with a slight grayed out, right? So that's why every single cell should be independent. Like you could have a solution where you put in like weekly and stuff like that, but that wouldn't make sense with how we're doing things, right? So that's a high level overview of what exactly we're doing. This is going to be that. And here we're just going to say calendar, okay, come here and say, this is going to be calendar date, right? Come here after that and say var cell width, and this is going to be core graphic float, like so, right? And that's done. Calendar date, and I believe we have not made calendar date. Let's have a look at that. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we need to put in place our calendar date, right? So we come here and we create a new file. This is going to be a new file, and this one is just going to be called calendar date, right? Hit create, like so. And what you're going to have here is going to be, I think we need SwiftUI, right? And SwiftUI contains foundation. So let's just put SwiftUI here. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a struct, and the struct in question is going to be calendar date, right? So we have the calendar date, and it's going to have a couple of variables, right? And this is going to be var date, which is going to be of type date, like so, var manager, and the manager is going to be calendar. Okay, let's just comment that out. We're going to have a manager, right, at some point, right? Then we're going to say var is disabled. Is disabled is going to be set to false, like so. Then we say var is today. Is today is going to be set to false. Then we say var is selected, and those ones just do exactly what you think they do, right, as their name implies. And that's going to be false, like so. Then we say var is between start and end, and this one is going to be set to false. Var end date is going to be of type date, like so. Then we say var start date is going to be date, like so, right? And basically that. We could come here and say init. That's going to be that. I think with since 15, this just comes the initializer. You could get it for free, right? And then we're going to check var is end date, which is going to be a boolean. And how do we check if it's the end date? We check whether or not the date is the same as the end date, right? Then we say var is start date. And how do we know that it's a start date? This is going to be a boolean, right? We check whether the date is the start date, right? And then after that, we come here. The next one is going to be get text. So we come in to say func. This one is going to be called get text, like so. And what do we want is to get the string. So come here, do string like so. Come here and say let day. And what's the day going to be? It's going to be gotten from the helpers, and we get the helpers and we say format date like so. And this one is going to be the date. Woo! And this is going to be return day, right? Return day like so. So we have return day like so, right? Then after that, we get the func. Come here, say func. This is going to be get text color. And what's the text color going to be? The text color, it's just going to give us color like so. Come here, this is going to be the color. And what's the color? We get the text color, we say here. This is just going to be var text color is going to be gotten from, and this is the point where we probably should set up our managers, right? So let's set up the manager. Continue. Now, what we need to set up is going to be our calendar manager, which is going to act, it's going to be an observable. So what you're going to do is we're going to do a lot of the checking which dates have been selected and whatnot over there, right? And keeping track of everything, right? So we come here, hit Command N, and this one is going to be, we call it a Swift file, like so. And this one is just going to be calendar manager. You could call it manager service, whatever it is, right? Just make sure it's observable. That's the important thing, right? Observable, like so. And this is going to be a class. And the class is going to be called calendar manager. It doesn't have a super class, right? And what you're going to do is we're going to say var selected date, and the selected date is going to be date like so, and it's going to be default. The default is going to be nil. Hit Command D. The next one is going to be start date. Start date. So we come here and we say start date. Hit Command D. The next one is going to be end date. This is going to be end date like so. End date like so. Then we're going to have our calendar. Come here, say var calendar. Calendar is going to be calendar dot current. So get that. Then after that, we're going to have the minimum date, var minimum date like so. Minimum date is going to be of type, okay, let's just say date, right? Then we hit Command D, and this, if we have a minimum, we have a maximum date, right? Where we are going to pick the minimum, the beginning and the end, right? So the minimum and the maximum is going to be that. Then we say disable dates. You're going to have an option of choosing dates that are not included. That's going to be disabled dates. This is going to be disabled dates is going to be an array of dates, so we need to tell it the type, right? So this is going to be an array of dates because it's an array, right? Here we can go without telling it what type it is, right? Because it can infer. But here we need to say that this is going to be disabled dates, and then we say this is going to be an empty array. Start off as an empty array. Then we say var disabled after date, so we can disable a number of dates after a particular date. And this is going to be that. And then we come here and we say var colors. So colors are going to be just from our color settings, right? Color settings like so. And then we say var font, and font is just going to be from our font settings, right? Now we have everything there. We need an initializer. It's going to help us with all that, or you could type it out if you want. And then after that, we're going to create a couple of functions. This one is going to be func. It's going to be called disabled date contains, and this one is going to be passed in a date, and we're going to pass in a date. The date is going to be of type date like so, and it's going to return a boolean, right? So we have a boolean there, and we say if let disabled after date is going to be disabled after date like so. we check whether the date is greater than disabled after date, right? And we return true, right? Come here, return, and this is going to be true, right? True, like so. Else, what do we do? Else we just return, and this is going to be disabled dates dot contains, and we check whether it contains, and this is going to be contains. And what we're going to do here is just going to be calendar dot is date, and this is going to be we use $sign notation in same day as date, right? So we do that, and we check whether or not this is going to check whether or not the date is actually disabled, right? So we fold it away, command option left arrow, like so, and then we create this helper method, this one that we've just created. We'll use it for the month header text, right? Then the next method we're going to do is or rather not this one, the one that we're actually going to create is going to be for the month header text, right? So we come here and we say func, this is going to be called month header, as you can guess, and this is going to be month offset, and this is going to be that, right? And here we're going to say it's going to return a string, like so, and we say if let date is going to be first of we haven't created it first, right? Let's just come in to say func, this one is going to be called this this method is for getting the first day of the month given a particular offset, right? So we say func first, spell it correctly, or if you spell it incorrectly, make sure you keep spelling it like that, right? First of, spell it correctly, first of month for offset, right? For offset, like so. And here what you're going to do is just say this is going to be offset, and offset is going to be an integer, like so, right? And this one's just going to return a date, and what this is going to be var offset, like so, var offset component, like so, and this is just going to be date component, right, like so. And then you're going to say offset component dot month, and this is just going to be the particular offset, right? So, and then after that we return, and what do we want to return? We want to return calendar dot date by adding to offset component to we haven't created that function, right? So we're calling functions we haven't created. Let's create that, and we say func, and this one is going to be called first date of the month, right? First date month. Okay, I was going to call it of month, but I think you get it, right? And here it's going to return a date, right? So we say date, like so. And what we want to do is say var components. Components are just going to be gotten from the calendar, and this is going to be the calendar dot date components dot date components, right? And the components are going to be, we want the year, we want the month, we want the day, right? And we get it from the minimum date, right? So we do that, and then afterwards to the components dot day we add 1, right? And then after that we return calendar dot date from components, and if we can't get that, let's just get the date, right? So do that default if the components are invalid, right? So that's going to be that, and so it's complaining that this has to be sorted out. And let's just go up there and check a few things. We do have a selected date. We're going to say let's see, wait, components minimum date minimum date is sorted out, start date and date, right? So we make a correction here. We are not adding but assigning 1 to it, right? So we assign 1 to it, and that's sorted. And then we come back to first of month for offset, and to it we add the offset, and we add it to the first date of the month. So we say first date of the month, like so. That's sorted. And then we can come up here, and here we say first of month offset, and the offset in question is going to be this should be month offset, to be exact, month offset, and this should be month offset. So we have the month offset. If date is that, we come here and we say we are going to return. And what are we going to return? We're going to return helpers, and we're going to get the helpers dot get month header, and the date in question is just going to be the date. Else what you're going to do is you're going to return an empty string, right? Return an empty string, like so, right? Or handle the error case differently, right? So that is more or less sorted. Is there anything else on this? I think that's all, right? For our calendar manager. And calendar manager is done. Let's go back to our calendar date, and here we have for our calendar date, we have a few things we haven't taken care of, right? So here we get the text color, and for the text color we can get it from, let's first add the manager in question. Let's just come back here, and here we're going to have the manager. And now that we have the manager, we have the calendar manager, like so. And we could get rid of this initializer and then say init, and then do this again, and it sorts it out, right? And then afterwards we come here and we say manager is going text color is just going from the manager dot colors dot text color, right? Then after that we say if is disabled, we're going to say text color is going to be manager dot colors dot disabled color, like so, right? Else if is selected, what you're going to do here is just come and say something like text color is going to be manager dot colors dot selected color, right? Else if is today, what you're going to do here is come here and say text color is going to be manager dot colors dot today color, not text color but today color, right? Today color, like so, right? And else if is between start and end, what you're going to do is just say text color, like so, and this one is going to be manager dot colors dot between start and end color, like so, right? And at the end of this, what we want to do is just return the actual text color, right? So just run through a few. If the text is disabled, is selected. If we are today, if it's between the start and the end, and do the necessary, right? That I think is pretty straightforward. And we need to do the same for the background color, right? So what we do is just come here and we say we could do the same for the font. Come here and say var font, and font is just going to be font, like so. And we come here and we say var font. Oh, we've already done that, right? So var font is going to be that. So we say var font weight is going to be gotten from the manager dot font dot cell unselected font, right? So right, we check if is disabled, font weight is going to be, let's copy this so that you can just paste it, right? Copy this, command C, come here, manager dot font dot cell disabled font, right? Else if is selected, like so, we come here and we paint and we say manager.font.cell selected font, right? Else if is today, we need to get manager.font.cell today font, right? Cell today font, right? Else if is between start and end, what you want to do here is just paste this and say this is going to be cell between start and end font, right? And then at the end of this, just return the font, right? Return the font weight, right? Return the font weight like so, right? That is going to be our font essentially done. And now what we could do is we could actually put it into practice, because now we have a calendar date here. Of course, it's going to complain, and the reason it's complaining is that we don't have all that, right? So the first thing we could do is we could create a variable for our corners, right? Come here and we're just going to say corners, and corners are going to be of type UI rect corner, like so. And what you're going to do here is say if calendar date dot is start date. If it's the start date, notice that if we are starting, it's normally carved in the top left corner and the bottom left, and if we're ending, it's carved in the top right corner and the bottom right, right? So what we do here is we're going to return if we are starting, we just want the dot top left dot bottom left, right? Else if calendar date is end date, what do we want to do? If it's the end date, we want to return. And what do we want to return? We want the top right and the bottom right, right? Dot bottom right, right? Else we want return all corners, right? So that's going to be our corners, and let's put it into action. Okay, let's continue. Now, the next thing we need to do is we could come here and we say put the radius and the radius, which is going to be CG float, like so. And this is going to be dependent on whether we are on the end date, is end date, or we are on the start date, is start date. And if it is, we're just going to say cell width divide by 2, else it's going to be 0, right? So if it's true, we just divide the cell width by 2, else it's going to be 0, right? So that's how we create the effect, right? Now let's do our text. So let's just come here and we say text. This is going to be gotten from the calendar date.getText, right? .getText, like so. And here we're going to say .font, and this one is going to be calendar date .font, like so. Then we're going to say .foreground style. Foreground style, this is going to be calendar date .getText color. Then we're going to say .frame. Frame is going to have a height, and the height is going to be the cell width, which is going to be 32, right? And then we're going to say frame, we're going to say the max width is going to be let's just say .infinity, right? Like so. And alignment is going to be centered, right? Then after that, you're going to say .font. .font can be gotten of .system. Size is going to be, let's say 20, right? Get rid of this, right? Then we say .background. Background, here we're going to say calendar date .gets background color, like so. And then we're going to say .corner radius. corner radius, and here we're just going to say radius, and we're going to say corners, the corners in question. Corners, like so, is just going to be corners, like so, right? That I forgot to create an extension, right? So that's why I'm wondering why, and it should be immediately after this, right? After the rounded corner. So I thought we had done it. We hadn't done it. Let's do it. So let's come here and we say this is going to be extension, and this is going to be an extension on the view. And what you're going to say here is going to be func, and it's going to be called corner radius. Corner radius is just going to take in the radius, and this is going to be a core graphic float, like so. And then it's going to take corners, and these are going to be UI rect corner, like so, right? And then it's going to return some view. And what are you going to have in the view? We're just going to have the clip shape, and the shape in question is going to be rounded corner, like so, that we just created up here. And this one has a radius, right? It has a radius, and the radius is going to be the radius, and then it has a corners, and the corners are just going to be the corners, right? So we have that, and that's going to be that. Let's go back to our day cell, and okay, it has stopped. It has realized that we have created that, and now we can proceed. And what we want to do here is maybe let's create a couple of cells. So let's just come here and we say something like we could put them in a group, right? A group, like so. And what you're going to do is we're going to put a day cell, right? So we want a day cell, and for our calendar date, we could just come in and say calendar date, like so. And the date in question is just going to be the date, and the date, like so. And the manager is going to be a calendar manager, like so. And what else? We could say is disabled is going to be set to false, right? And is today is going to be set to false. Then we're going to say is selected. This one is going to be set to false, and we say is between start and end is going to be set to false, and then we're going to say cell width, okay, is going to be false, like so, right? Cell width here is where we need it. It's going to be 32, right? For our group, we could come here and we say dot frame, and the frame, the width in question is going to be 32, and the height is going to be 32, right? We do this, and if we reload, we presumably will get an answer or something of the sort that we can have a look at. It's taking its sweet time. It really is taking its sweet time. And you can barely see a thing, right? So let's come here and try and make it okay, we barely can see anything, right? Here is instead of getting here, the background is not supposed to be the text color, but the background here is going to be get background color. We should have a get background color, right, instead of the get text color. So what we would do is we would go back to calendar date, and let's go back to calendar date, and we have this. We need I forgot to put this. This is going to be the get background color, right? So let's create that function. It's gonna look a lot like this, so let's see if we can borrow something, right? So we get that. It's going to be color, then it's going to be okay, so let's just type it out, right? And what it's going to be is going to be func get background color, and what this is going to be is it's going to return a color. So let's just come in and say color, like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say var background color, and this is just going to be gotten from the manager.colors text back color, right, which is going to be our background color, right? And we check if is between start and end. What we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to copy this and until here, right? So copy this, come here, do this, paste this. This is going to be managers.colors between start and end back colors, right? Make sure you get the right one. Else, no, if is disabled, come here and say if is disabled, right? So if it's disabled, the background color is going to be managers.color.disabled back color. If is selected, this is going to be background color. Okay, we copied it. So what you could do is just do this and say this is going to be selected back color, right? And selected here has 2 D's. We could correct it, come here and jump to definition. Where is it? Okay, refactor, rename, and ditch 1D, right? So come here, ditch the D, rename, right? Then we go back, and this is just going to be managers that, and we're just going to return. So come here and we say return. What you're going to return, it's going to be the back color, right? Background color, right? So that is done. Let's go back to our day cell, and what we should do for the background is say get background color, right? So we do that, and we try this and see whether this works now for us. Okay, we just had the wrong color, and we do get the number 3, right? So now we can see the number 3, right? And what we could do is we could copy this down, right? And we do this, right? And we say whether it's today is going to be true, right? It should turn red if this is the case. So we do have a red one. If it's selected, let's say true, like so. And we do get the sort of background here. Yeah, if it's disabled, okay, let's copy it down again. Do this, come here, that's Command D, by the way, in case you want to know. And the selected is going to be false here, and here we're going to say is disabled is going to be true, right? And we do get this color that is disabled, right? So yeah, so that's going to be that. So that's going to be that, right? And we're going to see more of that in question. So now at least we know what that is looking like. Let's proceed from there. Let's continue. Now the next thing to do is come here and we say we want to create the weekday header view, which is just going to be this, right? The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc, right? So this is going to be a SwiftUI view, and we're just going to hit create, like so. And maybe let's rename it. I actually called it a SwiftUI view. This is going to be called weekday. That's what it's going to be called, right? Weekday header view. And we come here and we say this is going to be that, right? So what we're going to have here is we need a manager. So we say var manager. Manager is going to be that, like so. Then we say var weekdays, which is just going to be an array of strings. So we say string, like so. And then here we're going to go to the helpers and we say get weekday headers, and from the calendar can be gotten from the manager.calendar, right? So we get our weekdays, and now we need to put them on the screen. So we come in and we say h tag, like so. And for the h tag, the alignment in question alignment is going to be centered like so, and then we're going to say for each of the weekday, for each, we're just going to loop through the weekdays like so, and identifying them, we're going to come here and say this is going to be dot self like so, and here we're just going to say this is going to be we're going to come here and we say this is going to be weekday in, and in our closure we're going to say here text like so, and this is just going to be in particular the weekday, and we're going to say the font in question. The font is going to be manager dot font dot weekday font dot weekday header font like so, and the frame in question, the frame is going to be max width is going to be dot infinity, right, like so. And next we're going to put the foreground style, that's going to be manager dot colors dot weekday header color like so, and then we say dot background like so. This is just going to be manager dot colors dot weekday header color, right? So that's done, and the next thing we need to do is come here and we say here it requires okay, it's calling it SwiftUI view still. Why is this complaining? It's saying generic cannot be inferred content and call, right? Oh, we're forgetting to put this, right? So come here and then cut this and then put it there, right? So that's what we're doing. Okay, now here instead of the SwiftUI view, we need to call this the weekday header view, and the manager in question can just be calendar manager, right? Calendar manager like so, right? So we do this, and this is not supposed to be form style but foreground style, right? Foreground style, right? So we do that and it stops complaining hopefully, and we get something. So give it a second, we should see Monday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's see this. Why is okay, let's see. Does it look like this? There's a couple of breaks in between, right? So what we want that is going to be okay, we get the weekday, put the alignment okay, looks sort of looks okay to me. Can't complain much, but let's just proceed from there. The thing we could do is we could come here and we say var, we want to, in the color settings, right, add a background color, and we say var weekday header back color, and this is just going to be color.clear, right? So we set that, then we can go back. Let's go back, back, and the background here is going to be weekday dot like so, right? So we do that, and that will look a bit better in my opinion, right? That will look a bit better. Yeah, so let's see that, and let's come here and we see this in the light appearance, right? This is going to be okay, it blends in a bit better, and well, it's a matter of deciding which one you prefer. I think this in particular looks good. Let's instead come and okay, let's try and do this, right? Put the come here, let's cut this here and put it do this, right? Then after the frame, try and apply it again, right? And so we apply it to both, then try switch it to dark, and okay, so that's going to be that, right? Okay, fine, that's okay for now. And the next thing we could do is, I think we've now done everything. We should now start worrying about how we're actually going to see the bigger picture, right? Because we've now have the dates, we have the manager, we have the cells. Let's now try and present a whole month. Proceed. Now, what's the next thing we want to do? We want to put an entire month on the actual screen, right? So what we could do is we could create a month view. Come here and do something like command N. This is going to be a SwiftUI view, and this one is going to be called something like month view, right? Month view, no prizes for guessing what it does. And let's just wait for us to see it. The month view is going to have a bunch of things. It's going to have a state, and we come here and we say add state, and this one is going to be var is start date, right? And this one is going to be false or true, right? And then we come here and we say var manager, and the manager in question is going to be calendar manager, like so. And then we're going to say let month offset, right? Because months don't always start on the very first day of the very first week. They start on different days. This is going to be calendar unit year month day, like so. And this is going to be a set, like so. And for the set, we're just going to have the calendar dot component, like so. And what we're going to have here is we're going to say the year, the month, and the day, right? So we have year, month, day, like so. Then after that we have an array of months. We say the month array, like so. And this is going to be the actual date. And we come here, and what we want here is just to get the months array, right? So we get the months array, and the next thing we'd need to do is maybe let's think about how we are going to get the we need to create a sort of, what's it called, a sort of cell view that we can then call and show on the screen. Let's do that. Let's continue. Right now, the next thing we need to do is let's come here and maybe go to our extensions. And in our extensions, there are a couple of methods that we could put them in the months view, but it's going to make the view a bit long. So let's just come here and we say extension, and this is going to be on the month view, right? Month view, like so. And the very first one is going to be func, and you're going to check is this month, and this one is just going to check whether it's this month, right? The date is going to be a type of date, like so, and it's going to return a boolean. And what this is going to do is it's just going to return self.manager.calendar.isDate, and we're going to pass in the date, like so, and we are going to say equal to first of month offset, right? First of month offset, right? And that doesn't exist yet, first of month offset. So let's create it. Let's come here to this, right? And what this is going to be is first of month offset is just going to be let's first get the first date of our month, right? Come here and you say func first date month, and this one is just going to return, what's it going to return? It's going to return a date, right? And this one is going to be var components, and this is just going to be gotten from the manager dot calendar dot date components, like so. And this one is going to be gotten from the calendar this, and we're getting it from the manager dot minimum date and to it we just say components. We've done this before. Dot day is going to be 1, so the first day, and then we just return manager dot calendar dot date from the actual components, right? So just get the first day and return it, right? And we could put a bang here, right? So that is done. Now we get the first date, month, and then we say first month offset, so that you can know the number of days. So you can use that, and we say here func, and this one is going to be called first of month. Call this the offset, like so. And what this is going to do is we're just going to return the date here, and what you're going to have here is going to be var offset, and the offset is just going to be the date components, right? The date components, like so, and the date components, and then you're just going to say offset dot month is going to be month offset, like so. And what we're going to do next is just return the manager dot calendar dot date by adding offset, the offset to the first of month, right? First date month, right? And put a bang there. So that's how we calculate the first of month offset, right? And the next thing would be we could come here and we say equal to first of month offset, and then we say to granularity, and this one is going to be dot month, right? So we add that, and that is going to be kosher. We still have a couple of more methods. Let's do them next. The next thing we need to do is we need to get the format date and the, let's just come here and we say func. This is going to be called format date, and format date is just going to take in the actual date. It's going to be of type date, like so, and it's going to return the date. And what you're going to do is we get the components. We say let components, and the components are just going to be from the manager dot calendar dot date components, date components, like so. And this is going to be calendar unit UMD from the date, like so. And we just return, and what do we return? We return the manager dot calendar the date from components, put a bang there. And then after that, to create another function, this is going to be func, and this one is going to be called format and compare date, and this is going to be something like date of type that, like so. And this is going to be reference date, so this will help us compare to dates. Reference date, like so, and this is going to be of type date, and it's going to return a boolean, and this is going to be a bool. And what this is going to be, let ref date, like so. Ref date is just going to be format date, like so. The date in question is going to be the reference date, and what you're going to do is say let clamped date, and clamped date is just going to be format date, the date in question. And what we want to do is just return, and what do we want to return? We want to return whether they're the same, right? Ref date, the reference date, and the clamped, whether they're the same, right? So the next one is going to be the number of days, right? We create a function, and the job of this function is just to calculate the number of days, right? So we come here and we say number of days, right? And this is useful for calculating the offset for us, right? And this one is just going to be the offset, like so, and this is going to be an integer. And what it's going to return is going to be the integer, right? Because like I said, if we look here, you need to know how many days to offset, right? That's what you're doing, right? Because you see here, it starts on the first day of July is on a Monday, and here the first day of June is on a Saturday, right? So you need to offset that, right? This is basically what that does. And we get the first of month, so we say let first of month, and this one is going to be first of month offset, first of month offset, like so. Then we say let range of weeks. We can get this from the manager, right? Get this from the manager dot calendar dot range of dot week of month. In calendar, this is going to be in dot month, like so, for first of month, right? So what we need to do here is, it's complaining because it's supposed to return something. This is just going to return, and what we're going to do, we're going to return what we do here is going to be range of weeks, like so, dot count, and what you're going to do next is just multiply it by days per week, right? So that is going to be that. The next thing after that, we are going to create a function, and this one is going to be called is start date. Is start date is just going to take a date, like so, which is going to be the date, and what you're going to do is return a boolean. And what this is going to do is, if manager dot start date is going to be nil, return false, right? If we don't have a start date, just return false. Else, and what we want to do here is just return, what do we return? Format and compare. The date in question is going to be the date. The reference date is going to be manager dot start date, right? And if we can't get that, just get the date today, right? Do we need that, right? So we say manager dot start date, probably going to complain. Hit this so that take care of the optional, like so. This is just going to be the default value. It's going to be the date, right? So we do that, and that is more or less sorted. And we need end date. Func is end date, and this is just going to be the date. And you might wonder, why is our start date optional, right? Because you might be in the start state before having selected one, right? So for example, if we run this and we start, right, where we don't have a date, right, you see that we don't have an end date now. Before you click on it or you touch it or you tap on it, it's not selected, right? So that's why we have to have the start date being optional, because when you start, you're not going to have one. I think that is pretty straightforward. And here it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be bool, like so. And here we say if manager dot end date is going to be nil, like so. If this is the case, we're just going to return false, right? So return false, and here we're just going to return, and we're going to say format and compare, basically this, right? So we're going to return this, but for end date, right? We're going to return this, but for the end date. So come here, return, paste this. This is going to be start date. This is going to be end date. So you do that, and the reason that it's going to be optional is, well, I explained, right? Now, the next thing we need to do is we check whether or not the date is between the start and the end, so that you can show it in different colors, right? See that, right? So that's why we're doing it, right? So what we need to do is come here and we say func, and this one is going to be called is between start and end. What we need to do is say date, and this is going to be the date. And what we're going to do here is just have the boolean, and we have the boolean here, and what we want to do is say if manager dot start date, if this is going to be nil, like so, if the start date is going to be nil, what you're going to do is just return false, right? Return false. Else, if manager dot end date is going to be nil, what we want to do is return false, right? Okay, so there can be nothing in between these two if you have not selected anything, right? I think that is pretty straightforward and easy to understand. Else, if manager dot calendar dot compare, and the date is going to be the date to manager dot start date, like so. And remember, I've explained why we have to do this. It's going to be the date. Granularity is going to be with regards to day, and we check dot order ascending, return false, right? Else, if manager dot calendar dot compare, and the date in question is going to be the date, to manager dot end date. Already gone over why we need to do that like this. Granularity is going to be the day, like so. If this is going to be dot order descending, like so, we return false, right? If you go through all this and you get nothing, just return true, right? That means you're between them, right? So that is essentially that. We could fold this away, right? Come here, hit command option, that, and that is going to be folded away, right? And the next one is to check whether or not it is enabled, right? Come here and say func is enabled, right? Is enabled is just going to take a date, and the date is going to be of type date, like so, and it's going to return a boolean, right? And what's it going to be? We say let clumped date, and clumped date is just going to be format date, and that's going to be the date. Okay, not the day, but the date. We do that, then we say if manager.calendar.compare, and this is going to be the clumped date, to the manager dot minimum date, right? And granularity is going to be dot day, like so, and this is going to be compared to dot order ascending, or manager dot calendar dot compare, and the date is going to be clumped date, to manager dot maximum, like so, and the granularity is going to be dot day, like so, and this is going to be dot order descending. So you get that. What we're going to do here is just going to be return. What we're going to return, we're going to return false, right? Return false, and then afterwards we're going to come here and we say we're going to return, and what are we going to return? We're going to return not is one of disabled dates, right? And then we're going to pass in date, right? So we can disable dates, like I said. The date in question is going to be the date. This doesn't exist, right? And what you're going to do is make it exist, right? And this is going to be is one of disabled dates, like so, and this one is going to take a date of type date, and it's going to return a boolean, and we're just going to come here and we say self dot manager dot disabled date contains the particular date, right? We already did that before. And then if not is one of, capitalize the O, and we'll be fine. It's going to stop complaining there, right? And the next one is going to be is start date is number. Okay, we've done a number of these, right? Almost done. Don't get antsy. And this is going to be func. This is going to be is start date after end date. Capitalize everything, every new word, right? And here we're just going to say bool, like so. And here we're going to say if manager dot start date is going to be nil, we're just going to come and we return false, right? Else, if manager dot end date is going to be nil, we're going to return false, right? And then we should say else if manager dot calendar dot compare, and what we want to compare is going to be manager dot end date to manager dot end date, and this is going to be date, and we're going to compare it to the start date. So come here and we say manager dot start date, and that's going to be date, like so, and the granularity is going to be dot day, and this is going to be dot order descending, return false, right? And if that's not the case, just return true. So what we've done here, and we've just made sure that if you select this as your start date, you can't do that, right? See, you can't select this. You can select both of them, right? But if you select a date and it becomes your start date, you can't select a date before it to be the what's it called? You can't select a date before it to be the start date, right? So the end date must always be after, right? So that's basically what you've done, right? It might seem trivial, but you need to check that, right? Do we have an is today? Have we checked whether it's today? Okay, it's maybe one of the first things because it's so easy, right? So what we next do is func is today, and what is today? Today is just going to take in a date, and the date is going to be the date, like so, and it's going to return a boolean, and what you're going to do here is just return, and you're going to say return format and compare the date and the reference date. That's very easy. It's going to be the day today, right? So we compare it to the day today, and that is going to be that. And then after that we say func is special date, and this one is going to take a date, like so. And what you're going to do, return whether it is selected date, is selected date, and this is going to be a date, like so, right? Let's just create that quickly and say func, and this one is going to be called is selected date, and is selected date is going to take a date, like so, and it's just going to return a boolean, right? So we have that, and we check if manager dot selected date is going to be nil, return false, right? And then we say here, we come here and we say return format and compare. The date is going to be the date, like so. The reference is going to be manager dot selected date, and this is just going to be the date, right? So we do that. That's going to be more or less sorted. Okay, right? Now the next thing we would need to do, I think we have a lot of the methods. Let's see, we have is this month. Let's create one more, whether or not this one will check whether or not the date has been tapped, right? So we come in to say func, this one is going to be called date tapped, and this one is going to take the date. What's the date? The date is going to be that, right? Okay, and we say if we say self dot is enabled, and the enabled is going to be the date, right? Like so. We check if is start date. We come in to say self dot manager dot start date is going to be set to be the date, right? And then we say self dot manager dot end date is going to be set to nil, right? So when you set the start date, the end date is always set to nil. And then we come here and we say is start date is going to be set to false, right? So that's that. Else, come here, say else this is going to be self dot manager dot end date is going to be the date, and then we just do the same thing, right? And we say if self dot is, we check whether or not you're trying to set the start date after, right? So we say self dot is starting date after end date, and we just come here and we say self dot end date dot manager. We need to get it self dot manager dot end date. If this is the case, we're going to set it to nil, like so. Then we come here and we say self dot manager dot start date is going to be nil, right? So that's how we do that. We make sure that you ensure that your start date is always before your end date, because that doesn't make any sense, right? If it's not, right? Then after this, after you do all this, we're just going to come in and say is start date, and this is going to be set to true, right? So we do that, and we could add another function, right? So where does this end? So that ends there. And then we come here and we say func, this one is going to be called get date at index, and this is just going to be the index, which is going to be an integer, like so, and this one is just going to return the actual date, right? And here we're going to say let first of month is going to be first month offset. Then we say let weekday can be gotten from the manager dot calendar dot component, and this is going to be dot weekday from first of month, like so, and not week dat but weekday. And then we say var start offset, and start offset is just going to be weekday minus manager dot calendar dot first weekday, right? And then we come and we say start offset, and this is going to be plus equals start offset is greater than or equal to 0, and we're going to use a ternary there, and if not, that's going to be days per week, right? And then we say var date component, that was in our constants, which is somewhere, I believe, which is also here if I'm not wrong. Date components dot day, this is just going to be the index, like so, and to it we say dot start offset, right? And then what we need to do is just return manager dot calendar dot date by adding date components to first of month, and we put an interrobang, like so, right? Var date components is going to be okay, var date components, I think we both this up, right? Date components is just going to be equal to date components, right? So we do that, and then we come and we say date components dot day, right? And that's going to be that, and that's going to be that. And then afterwards we need to put a function, and this one is going to be called month array, like so. And what this is going to do is we're going to come in and we say date, let's return an array, and this is going to be date, right? Date, like so. And what we want is to come here and we say var row array, and this is going to be, we get here, we say date not data, but date, like so. Okay. And we say for row in 0 all the way to, and this is going to be number of days. Offset is going to be the month offset, like so. We divide by 7. Then we come here and we say var column array is going to be the date, like so. And then we come here and we do this, right? And then we say for column in 0, 6, what we want to do is say let ABC is going to be self dot get dates at index is going to be row multiplied by 7, and to it we add the column, right? This is just the math of making sure that it looks the way it does, right? It's going to be column array, and to it we're going to append ABC, right? And at the end of all this, what we would say is let's just come here and say row array dot append column array, and at the end of this just return row array, right? So it's complaining. So we go we get the column array, and then we go from 0 to 6 to include 7 days. Then we say ABC is going to be self dot get index at index, and this is going to be row multiplied by 7 plus the column, right? So that's going to be that. And I think that's a lot of the work we need to do with the month view. It was a bit heavy, right? So okay, if we try building, okay, let's go back and see for our month view. What we want to do is we want to get the month array. So this is going to be of type that cannot call function month array, right? I thought let's just jump to definition. Okay, let's go to our extensions. Extensions, I thought we did create it. Did we create it? Yes, yeah, we did. Month array. Or are we spelling it the same? Month array. Okay, fine. Right. Yeah, so that's slight snafu, right? So the next one is going to be, we come here and we say add state, and this is going to be var show time is going to be false, like so. And now we can come here and we say for our group, we come here, let's proceed. So what we want to do is come to body here, and in body what we would want to do is, let's put a group, right? Put a group here, say let header, and header is just going to be get month header, like so. And get month header, and we could come here, do that, get month header, and after that we have a vstack, and in our vstack we're going to have an alignment, and the alignment is going to be dot leading, like so, and put a spacing of about 10, right? And then we could come here and we say the text is going to be get month header, like so, right? So that's going to be like the text, like of the actual month that we're in. The next thing we need to do is We actually didn't create it. I thought we had created the get month header, right? So let's actually just do that, right? So we come here and we say func, and this one is going to be called get month header, and this one is going to be, we come here and we say this is going to be a string, and here we're just going to come here and we say helpers dot get month header, and the date is going to be first month offset, right? So we get that that's going to be our header, and now we can go back to the month view, and it's going to temporarily stop shouting at us for not putting the month header. But then that is done. Now we have our text, and what we want to do for the text is put the font, and the font in question is going to be manager dot font dot month header font, right? Then after that we're going to say dot foreground style. Foreground style is just going to be manager dot colors dot month header color, right? Then after that we say dot padding, and this one is going to be padding on the front, so we say leading, like so, right? Then we have our v stack, like so, and the alignment is going to be dot leading. The spacing is going to be 5, right? And this is going to be for each, like so, and this is going to be something like months array id is going to be dot self, right? So we say self, like so, and then we have our row. We could come here and we say this is going to be the row in, and then we have an h stack, and the h stack is going to have a spacing of spacing here is going to be 0, like so, and then we're going to say for each we're just going to go and say row, and the id is going to be / dot self, like so, and we're just going to come here and we say we want a column in, and what we'd want to do is perhaps put our cell view, right? Come here and put our cell view, and for our cell view we could create, let's create the extension here, because the cell view is going to be pretty straightforward, and it's a view, so we could put it here, right? So it's month view is going to have 2 extensions. It's going to be func, it's going to be called cell view, and it's going to take, let's call this column, and this is going to be date, and it's just going to return, we could say here some view, right? And what we want to do here is just say h stack with a spacing, and the spacing in question is just going to be 0, right? So we say spacing is going to be 0, and we're going to say if self dot is this month, and the date in question is going to be, let's say, column here, right? What we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to say day cell, and the calendar date is going to be gotten from the calendar date, like so, and the date in question can be gotten from the column, and here the manager is going to be the manager, right? And let's just make this date, right? And come here and we say this is going to be the date, and this is going to be the date, right? So that's going to be that, and the manager is going to be the manager, like so, and we say is disabled, and is disabled is going to be not is enabled, and the date is going to be the actual date now, right? And we say is between start and end. Is between start and end is going to be is between start and end, and the date in question is going to be the date, right? And after that we say end date is going to be gotten from the manager dot end date, right? Start date is going to be gotten from manager dot start date, right? and I think that's it, right? The cell width is going to be gotten from the cell width, right? And to it we could come and say dot on tap gesture, and the code here we're just going to say self dot date tapped, and the date in question is going to be the date, right? And else we're just going to come here and say text is going to be and we want it to occupy as much space as possible, so we come in and we say frame dot max width is going to be dot infinity, like so, and the alignment is going to be dot center, right? That is going to be the case. And what we would need here is probably to come back up here and instead of column here we just say date, like so, and here we just say for our cell view we want a date, so we pass in the date. And to see something before we roll it out, let's come here and we say month view manager is going to be calendar manager, like so, and the month offset is going to be 0, right? Not O but 0, right? Or you could put O, but O probably won't work, right? And the next one is to say let's see here, right, for the VStack. And for the VStack here, what we want to do is say that background, and the background is just gotten from the manager, but colors dot month back color, right? So we do that, reload this, and let's see what this looks like. It's taking its sweet time. Okay, this is what we worked on, right? So this is actually what we have been working on, right? So we at least get, and we see that the date today is 3rd, so it's being highlighted, right? But it's almost midnight, so it probably moved to 4th in a bit, right? In about 9 minutes from the time, right? You can see here 23:28, almost at midnight, so it's going to change, right? So basically that, and well, we could do this, right? We could come here and we say something like header here, right? Like so. And that's going to go away because we're not using it, right? But our dates are showing the way we want them to, and I think everything is as it should be for now. I think we have done everything as it should be. Now the next thing would be to figure out how everything fits together, and that would be rolling it out to now seeing it in all its glory. The thing we could do is we're not noticing that today's date is being highlighted, right? Because we're not telling it that we need it in our calendar date here, right? So let's come here and we say is today, and today we're just going to call the is today function. I believe we did create something like that, right? So we just say is today, and the date in question is just going to be the date, right? So if we do that and then put a comma, right? Okay, that's actually where it belongs, right? So we see that is today actually has the red tinge to it, right? So now we know that this is actually today, right? Today is June the 3rd. Put it all into action, right? So let's come here, hit Command N, create a new file. This is going to be a SwiftUI file, and this one is going to be called range calendar, right? Range calendar, right? Hit create, come, and you have a range calendar, right? It needs a manager, so we come here and say var manager. Manager is going to be of type calendar manager, right? And number of months, var number of months. Number of months is going to be an integer, right? And what you're going to do here, integer, and this is just going to be helpers dot number of months, and the minimum date is going to be manager dot minimum date. So calculate that. Max date is going to be manager dot max date, maximum date, right? So we do that, and the next one is going to be we come here and we put a VStack, and we say here spacing. spacing is going to be 0, like so. And here we are going to say weekday header, weekday header. Oh, we haven't created. Let's just make up the weekday header and then we can proceed. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to come here to our calendar pack and create a new SwiftUI view, and this one is going to be called let's just call it weekday header, like so, right? Get the weekday header, and what you're going to do here is just say var manager is going to be of type calendar manager. And what we want here is to come here and we say this is going to be a VStack, like so, a VStack. And the spacing, what's the spacing going to be? Spacing here is going to be something like 8. And we could come here and we say this is what is going to have the weekday header view, right? Weekday header view, like so, and it needs a manager, and the manager is just going to be the manager, right? So have the manager and say dot padding is going to be, we want it horizontally, and then we say we want it at the top, so we say dot padding, and this is going to be dot top, like so. And then we add our divider, right? So we add the divider there. That's going to be that. Let's see that in action. Okay, we can't see it because here it needs a manager, right? So come here, hit fix, say this is going to be calendar manager, like so. It's going to be that, right? We're going to see some approximation, at least I hope we can, right? Okay, cannot find week, right? So do this, comment this out. Okay, comment it out, like so. And manager missing parameter. Okay, let's just for now close this preview, right? And then go back to this weekday header, right? So that you can see it. So let's see it. It's taking its sweet time, so wait on it. Let's just see it. Okay, that's what it looks like. Not particularly interesting. Let's go back and comment this. Now we can work on our range calendar proper, right? Which is essentially our completed everything, right? So let's come here, and what we want to do is say we're going to have the weekday header, and the manager in question is just going to be the manager that we have up there. And then we're going to have the scroll view reader, like so, like so. And then the scroll view reader, what you're going to have is in the closure, we're going to say reader in, and then now we can use a scroll view proper. So we say scroll view, like so, and we want it dot vertical, and we don't want the indicator, so we say show indicator is going to be false, like so. And then we come here and we're going to have a lazy v stack, like so. You could have a v stack, but you're going to have a lazy v stack, right? I don't know how many days you want to put, right? Depends on the number of days. This is going to be something like 32, but I think nowadays phones are so powerful that it's unlikely that unless you have heavy graphics, that there's anything you could put on the screen that is going to crash it. Like a new iPhone, right? It's going to be in my opinion too strong for that, right? So this is going to go all the way to the number of months. Do we have a number of months? Yes, we do up here, right? 0 all the way to number of months, like so. I was wondering why I can't get anything. This is going to be dot self. Then we can go to our closure, right? What's the closure? This is going to be index in, like so. And this is going to be the month view. And the month view, what's the month view? The manager in question is going to be the manager. The month offset is going to be the index, right? And at the end of this, we could put a bit of padding. So let's just come here and say dot padding. And on appear, we could come here and say on appear. And then we can put some code here. What you're going to do is just say dispatch queue, like so, dot main dot async async, and here it's going to be async after, and maybe say the deadline in question is going to be dot now, and to it we add, after that we add 0.1 seconds, and after that we check if, come here and we say if date is going to be if let date, which is going to be manager dot start date, what we're going to do is the reader is going to scroll to, and here we say helpers dot get month header date, which is going to be the date, right? And anchor is going to be dot center, right? So we do that, and after that we could say here, what I think the VStack, on the VStack, what we'd like to do is put a background, and we say background, and the background in question is going to be gotten from the manager dot colors dot calendar with back color, and we want it to go everywhere, so we say dot ignore safe area, like so. And for our preview, we're going to say here we need a manager, so put that, and here for the calendar it's going to be the calendar manager. The minimum date is going to be the date, we could say date today, and to it we want to date dot adding time interval, and the time interval is going to be negative 60 multiplied by 60 multiplied by 24 hours multiplied by 30 days multiplied by 2, right? So that's going to be that. Equal space, Swift is finicky about that, so that's going to be the minimum date, right? Okay, equal space, like so, right? That's going to be, so we have the minimum date going back 2 months ago, so this is what it looks like. Let's put a maximum date also. Okay, that's going to be that. So we say comma maximum, or wait, in our manager here, so that's going to be that. Okay, that's going to be the maximum date, that's what I'm looking for, and that's going to be just the same date, and to it what do we want to add? We want to add dot adding time interval, and here we could just say a month after this, 60 multiplied by, okay, not that, but multiply 60 multiplied by 60 multiplied by 24 multiplied by 30 multiplied by, okay, we don't have to multiply it by 1 again, right? So we add one more, right? So we see 3 months, and then we see also the next month, right? So it extends all the way to this particular date, and we're actually 2 minutes to midnight as I'm recording this, and hopefully you will see, I wonder whether if we're actually a minute now, I wonder whether we will see the date change from 3 to 4, right? But aside from that, this is probably it. Now the only thing left, if you think about it, the only thing that we are left to do is actually show you how you would use it in a view, right? So what you could do is you would turn this into sort of a package, and maybe like if you have an application that requires you to pick a number of dates, right? Like if you pick from, okay, these are the particular dates, right? So okay, we'll figure it out, right? So if you needed to pick particular dates, we're going to have the user able to select it, right? Yeah, and he's going to be able to select it, right? So now I'm just waiting select the particular dates and you could show them in a more graphical way, right? So this is pretty cool because there's an application that I'm building that requires that. And the date has changed. We have reached the next day. We are now on 4th, but it doesn't change automatically, right? I guess, right? So let's just comment this out and then uncomment it so that you can see that it changes to the next day, right? So the red should move to 4, right? So you see, okay, it reloads. Yeah, the red moves to 4. It doesn't change automatically, right? Because it's not keeping track of the time, right? But yeah, but that is basically it. You'll notice that, okay, it's taking its sweet time. You'll notice that when we select a date, it doesn't highlight it when we select the actual date, right? Like today. And for that reason the reason for that rather is that we are not actually telling it to do this, right? We should come here and say if is between start and end, where we're getting the text color. Let's go to text color, right? We say if is disabled, we give it one color. Else if is selected, we give it another color. And we say if is today, we do give it today's color. And then we come here and we say that else if is between start and end, right? So what we want to do, if it's between start and end, what we'd like to do is come here and we say between colors, between start and end color, right? Like so, right? Now when we come to the background, let's say we get that, and this is going to be start and end back color, disabled back color, selected back color, and we return it, right? So we do that, and then we come here and come to the month view, the range calendar. Let's see that, and this will allow us to select a couple of days, right? So let's come here and we say we can pick. Okay, we can pick all the days, right? Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we need to go to extensions, and where we're checking whether it's a special date, we're going to check whether it's the selected date or it is the start date. So you come in and say a start date, and the start date requires a date we pass in, or is the end date, is end date, right? And we pass in the date. So that's another thing we hadn't done. So let's go back to our range calendar like so, and you'll notice that, okay, give it a second. It is taking its sweet time. You'll notice that the day is clearly marked. The day that we're in is in red, right? And when we pick this, and we still select, but we're not highlighting in particular the actual colors, right? But we have made a minor correction. So let's get to it. Now, one thing we're not doing is here in the where we're creating the cell view in the extension for the month, where we are saying that is selected, instead of is selected, we're supposed to check whether it's a special date, right? Because that is more encompassing, right? So this should be is special date, right? And then pass in the date. And when we do that, I think our issues will go away, if I am not wrong. Let's go back to the range calendar, and it's going to take a bit of time. Okay, now we have this, right? So when we select this, it's going to appear, and we do this, and these are going to be the number of days that have been selected, right? And we could come here and do this and this, and now our app is essentially working the way we want it to, right? Like so. So come here, pick this, and we can pick the day and select it and whatnot, right? So how you would put it, like after you have this code, how you would put it, for example, in an application. Let's go to our content view, and what we'd want with our content view here, we just have hello world right now, right? We would come here and we would say at, maybe to keep track of it, say at state like so, and this is just going to be var manager, and the manager is going to be our calendar manager like so, a calendar manager. Okay, calendar manager. And here for the calendar, we're going to have calendar.current like so, and then the minimum date is going to be today, so we could just say date like so, and then afterwards we say the maximum date is going to be the date, and we add a time interval, and what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 year to it. So for that, we just come here and we say 60 seconds by 60 to make it 1 hour, by 24 days, that is going to be 1 day, by 365, right? By 365, right? So that's going to be the minimum and the maximum date. And then in our VStack, we just come here and put our range calendar. So come here and we say range calendar, right? And it requires a manager, and we just pass in the manager that we have here, right? And now we have our we have this, right? And we can now come and set this, right? Come here and set this like so as our start date, and we can pick that, right? And supposing you wanted to record the actual selected date, right? So if you want to record the actual selected date, you could come here and you say something like the text here, we're going to have the manager, and we can get this from the manager dot start date like so, right? And the start date, and if we don't have that, we could just say we're going to have the date today, right? And to convert it, we need to tell it that this style is going to be text dot date style dot date, right? So we get that date like so. That's going to be the start date, right? And then we could hit Command D, and then we get the not the start date, but this should be the end date, right? So you could get the start date and the end date if you so choose. And you come here and you pick this. This is going to be it automatically defaults to today being the start date until you change it, right? You could change that if you want, right? And afterwards you do this, and then you have the start date is going to be 5th of June, and the end date is going to be 12th of June, right? So you could select this, and this could be the days, like for example, if you're booking an Airbnb, right? So that is that essentially. And we could run it on our simulator so that you can see it, right? So let's run it and see it. And you could convert this into like a Swift package and then import it to your various projects as you see fit, right? So give it a second. I'm running it on the simulator, and this is it, right? So we have this, and it starts from 4th of June to this, and we could come here and pick this, right? This is going to be our start date, right? So that is basically it, right? So that is going to be that, like so, right? So now we can pick whichever date we want, and of course we have selected until next year on the 4th, right? So we have that, and when you do that, all these are going to be selected dates, the dates in between, right? So that is basically it, and that is that, right? So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.